Hello, everybody. I'm so glad to be back today. Today we are with Tom Kilby over, I guess, this way.
That's me.
Um, I'm going to let some people come in and kind of explain to you what we will be talking about today. Um, we really want you guys to kind of know a little bit more about what's going on behind the scenes before you guys even start your process, before you guys even see the job offerings in your account. And that is why we have Tom Kilby here. That's kind of what he does at BDV. So if Tom, do you want to introduce yourself, tell them a little bit more about what you do here at BDV?
Thanks, Sarah. It's great to be with you always. I'm excited to be here today. It's been a while since I've been on with Mitchell,
Yeah.
too. Um, yeah, so like she said, my name is Tom Kilby. I'm Director of Business Development here at BDV Solutions. I've been here since January of 2021. Um, Before I came to work at BDV, I spent 20 years running a manufacturing plant in the folding carton world. So had a plant with about 85 employees working 3 shifts, 5 days a week for a long time. And so I have also in my career been a banker and really on both sides of the desk, whether it be operations or on the sales side, so to speak, of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of, I think, my experience is one of the reasons why Brett thought I would be a good fit here.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely goes into what you're doing now at BDV, which is business development, finding the employers for us, finding them, vetting them, doing your research and all that. So if you kind of want to give us an overview, a brief overview of like the steps that are going through the behind the scenes of before they even start their process with the Department of Labor, before they even start an applicants for nationals process, what is your
Okay.
team doing to get these
Sure.
sponsors?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, really, it's a little bit longer process than they're probably
Yeah,
aware.
for sure.
Um, you know, this program is not well known, so half of our time on the front side of getting an employer sponsor involved is to educate them about the process so they're comfortable with it as well because they are sponsoring workers and people.
Yeah.
And which I have found very refreshing is that every one of them that I ever talk to never takes that lightly. They are excited and they realize they are people, and so they want to make sure they understand what their commitments are, what their our clients' commitments are. So, basically, I think a lot of it's very similar to what you and Mitchell and Gavandro see on the sales and Alexi see on the sales side is that when you have clients that have success and have a green card, we see further interest. So
Oh
success
yeah.
breeds success, right? So we basically, for a long period of time, kind of grew this side of the business only on referrals, and we've made a very large jump since I came on board in January of being focused on this side of it so that we could go out there and find diverse type jobs in all over the United States because we realize our clients are everywhere. And so it's just been this whirlwind of searching and meeting people. But, on the front side, once we get introduced to an employer sponsor, it usually takes us about 2 months. That's kind of what we would call our closing period of time. So that from when we have an initial conversation, introduce the program, and that can vary. I've had some do it
Yeah.
a number of days, right? But for the most part, it's about a couple of months. And they say, yeah, we really want to do this because, like I said before, we really take a lot of effort to make sure they know what they're getting into. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of steps. Once they say they want to do it, they understand what's required of them. Then it takes me, I would say, in about a month to vet them, for
And
example.
what kind of
So,
goes into that process of vetting? Like,
yeah, yeah, that's a very important. I
yeah.
know. So there are some requirements from the federal government on the financial side for the strength of the business to be able to participate. So, for example, a business entity that is not profitable is trying to sponsor people relatively more as a percentage than they're reporting to them quarterly on their, we call it the 941, which is the number of employees say that they have. And but really, for the most part, it's the financial strength of the company that makes sure they have to go through. It's called, actually, on the part of the process, called the ability to pay. The government requires that they are profitable enough to pay a year's salary for every employee that they want, a person that they want to sponsor. So that process we technically don't have to do for them. They don't really have to do until it gets to USCIS. But I think that's one of the things that makes us a little different. We don't just take everybody.
Yeah, totally.
I candidly have told people, they want it, they think it's a great idea, but so we go through all that process before we, they have to share financials with us. And that's part of the partnership thing that, not everybody in business is comfortable with sharing their financials,
Absolutely.
And so once they share those, we do the analysis and say, okay, is this company strong enough, has been around long enough, is asking to sponsor a number that is proportional to what the program is designed to do. And once we check all those boxes, we sit down with the employer and say, hey, you can sponsor 25 or even, well, let's say that you can sponsor 50, and they say, well, we really only need 30. We're a little concerned. We don't want to bite off more than we could chew. We only have restaurants kind of scenario. So we work that out. And at that point, then we start. And then, so from the back side of the business, the prep side, my team is preparing all the documents, gathering all the information that the global mobility team is going to need to have. And we basically lay the whole deal, let's call it, on in the file up and hand it over to the global mobility team so that they can do that first step of filing for the prevailing wage determination.
Yeah. And so I'll be honest with everybody. I didn't know that business development, I thought they were just going out there, finding employers that had the labor shortage and just sending them on over to global mobility so they could start their Department of Labor process. And to be honest, I didn't know until I sat down with Tom, and he really explained all of this to me. And it's really awesome, I guess, and amazing of BDV to go through those steps before they can even start their process of Department of Labor. I know that, like Tom said, that they don't actually have to do the ability to pay until they get to the USCIS step of the process, but we don't even want to mess around and get a sponsor that may later on in the process have difficulties doing that or be rejected or get denied because of that. We do that before they even start the process of Department of Labor, before you guys have any knowledge about this sponsor, before we even put them out there for you guys. And I think that's amazing because not everyone is doing that. And we take our time to really vet these and do the research and get everything we need before they can even start.
I think that really plays nicely too into what you guys are doing, because of the process that they go through, what you guys go through with our clients when they sign up and ask the questions.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that we know they can be successful going through the program. We're doing the exact same thing you are with business. That's the last thing we want, is to have problems.
Yeah. And so, like you said, you're not just taking any company that's come in saying, hey, we need workers, let me do this process. So what is something that would make BDV or you say, no, I'm sorry, I'm not going to take you as an employer sponsor? What would make something rejected? What would make them qualify?
Yeah. So really the financial side of it too that's really our main point. That's a jumping off point, let's say. Okay, yes, they could qualify. what we don't do and what the Department of Labor will not allow is, for example, if we just said, hey, they only want 2 workers. Well, the program as it's set up and was designed to supplement a workforce, right?
Yeah.
The Department of Labor in the process, but the business isn't going to want to go through all of this for 1 or 2 people. They have a chronic labor need that they're trying to address.
Yeah.
So if they say, we only want 5 people or whatever, we're like, well, this program is probably not a fit for you.
Yeah.
And also, if they say, hey, we're very financially, and I've seen that and before where they are well qualified financially, but let's say their business only employs 100 people. And let's say that they are financially capable of sponsoring 100 more. And they're like, well, I want to sponsor 100. Well, we're not going to let them do that. And for 2 reasons. One is, again, the program is designed to supplement a workforce, not designed to create a workforce.
Yeah.
And so we know that would get rejected. So there's certain things and steps that we know will happen at the Department of Labor from our experience that's kind of what we feel like makes us an expert in this program as to what's going to be a problem for us to get through, because we're not only at that point, we're handing it off to Global Mobility. And when the employer does their recruitment, we're opening it up basically to our team and to, sales. And then at that point, we've got, if it's offering of 50, we've got 50 people or thereabouts that start signing up for it. And let's say they're wanting to hitch their horse to that wagon.
Yeah.
So
that side of the vetting and the research that we do is really the legal stuff and the government stuff. So on top of that, I know we do specific things as far as BDV, as far as moral and ethically and cultural things that we do specifically at BDV. You want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I'd love to. And honestly, we have grown, the employer sponsor side has grown, especially in the quick serve restaurant side, has grown through a lot of referrals. And part of that really involves, and I think you'll see that, and our clients see that when we are starting to maybe do work with Chick-fil-A's, who I would think is, a great quick serve restaurant. And we're doing a lot with McDonald's, but those McDonald's owners are a franchise owner. So one of the things, and kind of a side conversation we have, is to make sure that they're being referred to us. I ask for referrals, and I ask what we would consider our successful sponsors. Successful is defined that not only did they do the program, but our clients like working there, right?
Exactly.
That to me is the definition of success. I usually say, who do you know that would welcome our clients the same way you have? And potentially, my whole view in life about anything, especially this world, our job is to create an environment where our clients can be successful, right? And that's a 2-way street for them. They need to know that they're going to work. They've got a commitment to fulfill of the year. Our sponsors are excited to have them. They're welcoming. That's a huge thing. That kind of also goes back to one of the reasons why possibly Brett thought I would be a good fit, because we're starting to try and move into the manufacturing world a little more for job offerings. So there are a lot of our clients that we know have STEMS degrees and are looking not only for a job for the year for the program, but we think that a lot of them maybe choose those opportunities because that company has a further ceiling of opportunity to move into. So, and I had and it's a long story, too long for here, but I developed a very strong culture of people that worked in the plant with me. And we went through a very a stressful time together. And the only way we were able to come through that, I think, was the culture that we had built with each other and as a team. And so one of the commitments we make to our clients, and I make it to the employer sponsor, if it's a manufacturer, I'm going to come, I want to do a plant tour. I want to see where they're going to work. I want to understand specifically the expectations. I want to meet the people that they're going to work with. I want to see who's smiling on the job. I want to feel it, and my experience, I feel like I can tell pretty quickly if it'll be a successful opportunity for us. So we're trying to expand that too, because we've grown a lot. We're trying to get to the point where we want to have a very strong relationship with our employer sponsors.
Yeah.
And a lot of that candidly started over a Zoom call, kind of like this scenario, but in reality, it's best to meet face to face. And that's
Always.
one of the things that the program success team is doing. So ultimately, we hope that we can get meetings in person. And then we have the program success team. Once obviously we have client services who's working with our clients the whole way to get them onboarded. But the program success team is also out there basically visiting.
Flying out,
they're flying out and saying, okay, here's a few workers are here, and meeting the people as well, so that we have a true feeling and for the success. What's really, really interesting is, obviously, and our clients know this more than anybody, and trust me, if I could push my foot on the government pedal to speed this process up, I would, because I'm by nature one of the most impatient people that you'll ever meet.
Me too.
When can you start and when will you be finished? But the interesting part is that when we're reaching out to these folks and saying, hey, our clients are here, whatever we can do to get the program moving through the system better and quicker, better is defined as quicker, then we're all going to be successful. But the interesting part about that is we're to the point now where we've had sponsors who've gotten workers, and it's been a while now, and once they're ready to do it again, which is really what I think one of the most best compliments we can get and our clients can get, right? So
totally.
I mean, I haven't been here. Everybody that since I've been here have been, for the most part, new, because you can't really start this program the employer can't start this program for another round until they're somewhat all the way through or halfway through or whatever. So in the first quarter of this year, we've had 9 repeat sponsors.
Yeah. That have come back.
Which is really exciting. Yeah, because that says so much to me. It says the quality of our candidates is so exciting to them. They're wanting to do this again. They're willing to wait, and the wait's gotten worse. So they're like, hey, you know what? Those clients at BDV folks are so good, and they have affected my business in such a positive way that they're willing to wait even longer.
Yeah.
So that's a really encouraging thing. And I told Mitchell this the other day. I think that's a kudos to you guys and what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I personally didn't know a lot of these things, and I know a lot of people are wondering the same things, and they're always asking me, how do I know, what sponsor to pick? And it's good to have a reputable agency like BDV, because we're doing that stuff for you. Tom is doing that stuff for you. And that's why you pick BDV, and that's why you have a company like us, where that takes the stress out of your day-to-day. You can live your life knowing that we went through that so that you could have a sponsor that is going to be, qualified, eligible, and willing to do this process for you. And so obviously we do a lot before the research, the vetting, the making sure everything is correct and filed correctly before they even open up to everybody to select. And that's all, again, before they start the Department of Labor, the prevailing wages, the recruitment, all that is done by BDV before. It's not something that has to be done, but it's something that BDV does in order to stand apart and make sure that our applicants are getting the best that we can do, and the best that we can find. I get a lot of questions like that, like I said, of people thinking, what sponsor do I pick?
Yeah.
Do I look for a company that, again, like you said, has sponsored in the past? Do I look for a company that's large and well-known? Do I look for a specific location? Does location matter? And to be honest, like we've explained already, honestly, none of that is really matters. It should really be based on your preference of the location that you want to live in, the job that you'll actually be doing. You have to go to work for your sponsor. So make it a sponsor that you're willing to go and do the job. The salary, the benefits, when it's filing, and all those things that you get to pick from is because BDV already took care of the rest that you're worrying about so that you don't have to worry about it.
Right.
And so, yeah, so when an applicant is selecting a sponsor, again, we get all those questions. You have all those details in your account for the applicants once you've created an account. And if you haven't, go ahead and do that. But all that information is in your account. You'll see the job that you'll be doing with a brief description. We're available to give you more information if you need it. The salary, the benefits, the estimated filing date. We usually open up the sponsors a couple months before their actual filing date in order for us to have some time to get all the information we need for those sponsors, get all the jobs filled up, and then you just select it, and then you wait until that filing date. And again, because BDV took care of all that stuff before, now all you really need to worry about or focus on is what the job that you actually want to be doing. And so let's see. Let me look at this question that we had. Yeah, so like the location, everything, again, it's not something. The location is something that they should be concerned about because obviously that's where they will be moving to.
Right.
But a lot of people are asking it in a way of, does the location matter in terms of approval, denial, audits, things like that? No. Do you want to talk about that at all?
Yeah, no, I think none of it. It's really funny because I asked this question out of curiosity to Mitchell when I first kind of started, when I was trying to figure all this out. I was like, what makes a client pick a job, right? Yeah. I would have thought that maybe the location, because they might have family or friends in that area, or they might already be there, right? And they, and ultimately that's our goal. I mean, we are also not only getting referrals, but we are outreaching to a lot of the bigger companies, and we're looking in places for them that we think our clients want to be. So we have about 18 total states. Our clients are working currently in 36 states in the United States. That's pretty big. That's incredible, so we're everywhere. And so we have offerings for our clients, and, but we know where they are wanting to be because we're basing that on how quickly the jobs go right now. A lot of times, a lot of factors that determine that, whether it's the salary, whether it's the, who knows? I always thought there was a simple answer, and Mitchell's like, it's all over the place. Some people pick it because they got a spot left in the filing date soon, and they want to just, as I put it, get on the merry-go-round so they can get off. But,
and
go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, to be honest, that's kind of the way to do it, because it's better to not wait for your location to come around. If you're really interested in starting EB-3, especially right now when more and more people are applying each year, I have people that say, no, I only want to live in Orlando. No, I only want to live in New Jersey. Well, while of course that's important and it's your life and that's where you'll be living, it is also just a year of your life that you'll have to be in this location at least. And so waiting around 5, 6, 7, 8 months for the location that you specifically want is, to be honest, not the best approach, because you could be waiting around for several months just for you to start your process, where your process could have already been going, could have already been having that labor certification filed and processing. So for people wondering about the location, that has no effect in the processing time, nor does it the actual sponsor's location processing time, nor does it affect, them being eligible for this process or being more likely to get approved. A lot of people are always saying, well, there are a lot more people in New York and Florida and California. Is it less likely to get approval? And that is really not true at all.
Right.
So for us, we always say, if you get lucky and there's where you're wanting at the time that you're wanting to start, awesome. But
Yeah.
if not, and we tell you that we don't really have anything in that area coming up in the near future, it's best to just pick something that you're willing to do for at least a year and move to that area. I know sometimes it can be hard with family and stuff like that, but it's really the best approach to go
I would
forward
agree.
with.
I would agree. This, ultimately our marching orders are to give our clients as much opportunity and as many places that we think they want to be as we can find and get on board. That takes a lot. And they're also people like-minded that might want to have that job that went in Boston that opened that sold in hours, because they're there, and those kind of things happen. And we want to try and grow this more and more. And with that focus there, so that their decision tree to take a sponsor is full of choices.
Exactly.
Right. What's going to be best for them individually. So I have a question kind of for you. So like, what are some of the top 5, let's say the top 5 questions that you get asked the most about when you're talking to our clients about the job?
So basically, kind of the things we've already addressed. How do I pick a sponsor? How do I know that my sponsor is qualified? Should I find a sponsor that has already sponsored in the past? Is it better to go to, again, certain locations, certain states? And is it better to go to a bigger company, a company that's well known and it's more likely for them to get approval? A lot of people think, oh, it's a McDonald's sponsoring me and it's a huge McDonald's company. So things like that are like the main questions that people are really wondering before they get to pick their actual sponsor.
I think one of the things you hit on is, and I probably should address, is that although they're McDonald's, they're franchise owners. And so they could own 2 stores or they could own 50 or 200. So that's actually an entity and a business of itself. That being said, you've seen before the offerings. We have some offerings with some Fortune 500 companies, right? And that's great. And we're going to have more of those, I can promise you. And that kind of goes into the mix. I would say what's interesting for me is that when I'm talking to an employer sponsor that's, say, at a Fortune 500 level, they have experience working with immigration and finding employees through that, whether it be H-2B or something like that. But a lot of times when I'm talking to a McDonald's or another quick serve restaurant franchise owner, they might not have anybody in their organization that is anything about immigration, whether it be using it as a tool for help finding workers, but they're all clamoring, and we have this huge gap in the United States of jobs that are available and there's no workers to fill. So, it's interesting. I'm glad to hear that they're asking questions that I would expect them to answer or ask, excuse me. But, if there's, part of it is we get down to the granular level, like, hey, were they going to make me work on a Friday? I'm not that deep into it. That's why when they look at the job, and we're trying to make it better so that when they see the offering, there's a lot more meat on the bone there for them to see. They know whether they're required to work on a Saturday, et cetera. And, first, second, or third shift, or, all those things are there. And they can see a little bit about the entity there and do a little research on their own too, to see what kind of, but for the most part, they can rest assured that we've done a tremendous amount of time and due diligence to get to the point where they're picking somebody. This program isn't for every employer.
Several months of work before they even start their several months of work with the Department of Labor, and then they start the actual applicants process. So our process is way longer than applicants' process, you might say.
Yes.
So again, we wanted to do this video because we wanted to make sure that you guys could see a bit more into what we do before your process even starts. Like I said, things you may not know we even do, because I certainly didn't know until several months ago, where I sat down with Tom and he, explained fully what we're really looking for in employers before they become a sponsor. We really care about our clients, and we want to make sure we bring, you guys qualified, good sponsors that are going to treat our applicants right and are, fully qualified to do this process. And we build this relationship with them so that you guys will later on have a good relationship with them as well. It's an employer sponsor program, so it's really about that relationship with the sponsor. And so Tom is really the beginning of that process of building that relationship with that sponsor, making sure they're fully informed on everything that they're getting themselves into, what they'll be getting, how to go through the process. And then every step of the way, there's a team at BDV that's going to continue building that relationship with the sponsor along with you. So we have global mobility that's going to help them with their process to become a sponsor, the labor certification, USCIS steps. And then we have client services that is helping our applicants when they're get their work permit and are actually going to go meet the sponsors and start working with them. They'll help with orientation and all of that stuff. And then we have programs success where it will keep checking back in after you've already started working with your sponsor to make sure that everything is still going great, that you're happy with your sponsor's happy with you. So like I said, our team, the steps that we take start way before your process even starts. So guys, everyone's like, oh yeah, my process is taking forever. Well, for us, especially me, since I'm so impatient, the process started way before your process ever started. So I hope you guys got a little bit more information and could get this deep dive into behind the scenes of what's happening before you guys ever start your process. And yeah, I just want to thank Tom for coming in, informing me several months ago, and also everyone watching about the stuff that goes into business development.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure. And I think it's really neat. The more we've grown, the more I see where we handle our clients with kid gloves the whole way through in a very protective manner. And that's very refreshing for me.
Yeah, totally.
So, yeah.
Let's see. Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna hop off because I guess we're at time now. But if you guys have any questions, comment down below or chat with us in your accounts. That's really the best place to get more specific, detailed answers into any questions that you have. I myself, Alexi Govandro, Mitchell's in Japan. So maybe in 13 hours he'll reply, but I will be here for now and responding to any questions you have about our specific sponsors right now, sponsors coming in the future, and anything else that you have questions on, message me in the chat in your account. But as of now, thank you guys for joining. Thank you, Tom, again for joining, and we'll see you guys in our next live. Bye.